Hello everybody, welcome to Snyder's Inc. Today we are going through a tough video, and we have got videos taken right before disasters. Ladies and gentlemen, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Comment what you think down below. If you'd like to help me out with a donation, you can leave a super thanks or a link to my PayPal in the description. Let's go.
Hey guys, welcome back to another video. My name is Tuv, and in case you guys didn't watch the video from 2 weeks ago, it was the final 2 million special. So I did take a break. Your boy was kind of tired after giving you guys 3 2 million specials, which I am so grateful they're finally out. And in case you guys are wondering what they were, there was a video I made with Charlie reviewing plain cheeseburgers. I know, pretty morbid, right? Then I had a video called The Harsh Truth of Being a YouTuber, which was the first and only video where I was really open with you guys, letting you guys know about my life. And the third one was The Darkest TikTok Iceberg Part 4, featuring Windigoon, Nick Crowley, Nexpo, and a bunch of other YouTubers. So in case you're wondering why I didn't upload last week, it's because I'm coming down from that, okay? Like, I'm back. I'm back. I think this is the first video I record after my birthday. It was March 18th. Your boy is 22 now. 22. That is crazy. Do you guys remember?
Wait a minute, hold on. You're telling me and Tuv are the same age? What? My man! I am flabbergasted. That has baffled my brain. I'm baffled.
Remember me at 19? That's wild, right? But like the title suggests, today we're going to be talking about videos that were taken before disasters. Before the entire topic does get started, I do want to give a quick thank you to Opera. I want to give a big...
You don't skip Opera. Here we go. Let's get right in.
Taylor Jean Scrum. On May 24th, 2022, a 22-year-old TikToker at ninja.tay21, real name Taylor Jean Scrum, posted this video on her page. As you can probably tell from the caption, it was meant to hit back at people telling her she would get herself killed riding her motorcycles. Now, it's unclear at what time of the day she posted that video, but that same day in the evening, Taylor died in a bike accident while riding back.
Holy shit. That is insane. That is insane. So she posted a video jokingly going back at haters who said she'd kill herself on that, just driving a motorcycle. And the same fucking day she got into a crash and died. Holy shit.
Back home from the weekly, quote, bike night event, an event she had attended with her biker friends. The said event was held at Woody's Barbecue on Flagler Plaza off State Road 100, and it turns out that as Taylor and 3 of her friends were riding home northbound on Interstate 95, they crashed near mile marker 296 at about 9:39 p.m. And the crash was sort of bizarre because Florida Highway Patrol, who had to close the road for about 6 hours, stated that the 4 riders, quote, collided into one another for an unexplained reason. They had been traveling on the left lane, and the collision threw them onto the roadway. I think Taylor might have ended up in the center lane because the report also says that she was struck by an SUV, and that SUV had apparently been traveling in the center lane in the same direction as them. That SUV also did apparently strike another biker, an unnamed 29-year-old. Taylor and the 29-year-old died on the spot, while the 2 other bikers, aged 25 and 36, were rushed to Advent Health Palm Coast Hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. The SUV passengers, a 48-year-old lady and her 16-year-old daughter, were unharmed. What I also found interesting, which by the way, take this with a grain of salt because it's from an unverified source, is that there were witnesses that claimed that the bikers were racing, weaving in and out of lanes before the accident. Anyway, following her death, her social media sort of blew up as people went in to check out her stuff, especially her final video. As of now, her TikTok has over 121,000 followers, and it remains a clear memory of the kinds of thrills she was into. Her bio, for instance, reads 09 ZX6R21 S1000RR, both bikes which she owned, and her videos revolved around bikes and a bit of horses. Her obituary does confirm this, adding that beyond horses and motorcycles, she was also into barrel dancing and, quote, lived life to her fullest. Now, two things I'd also like to add to this case is that first, her Instagram had a substantial following already. That was about 40,000 followers. And second is that she did go viral not the day the crash happened, but about 3 weeks later. I'm gonna guess people were just talking about it, but I found this Reddit thread which mentioned her story and the last video. And scrolling through the posts, a lot of people do for sure have negative thoughts on motorcycle riding. One Redditor even wrote, "There are two kinds of motorcycle riders, those who have crashed and those who are going to crash." Now, I'm sure this goes without saying.
Look, motorcycle rides are a different thing, but I love motorcycles. Okay, I have a love for motorcycles. So I find any motorcycle hate unnecessary. I don't know what you would. Again, there's risk to driving them, yes, but there's fucking risk to driving a car. There's risk to riding fucking going on a bicycle, skateboard, rollerblades, walking. There's a risk to any form of movement. So, that's a dumb thought process.
But if any of my subscribers watching this are motorcycle riders, please just wear your gear and your helmet and don't race. Just go the speed limit. Just seriously, a lot of horrible stuff when it comes to motorcycles, but I know a lot of people just like them. There's not much else to say about that, really. But yeah, rest in peace to Taylor, and let's head on to the next one. Ali Castile. One of the truly horrific murders to have happened in the last couple of years is that of Ali Castile, a 21-year-old from Louis, Missouri. Now, as the investigation unfolded, one piece of evidence that came out was this video shared by Oxford police. This is CCTV footage of Ali walking out of a bar in Oxford Square, which is near Ole Miss College where she was a student. This was around 11:52 p.m. on July 19th, 2019, and unfortunately, at around 10:30 a.m. on July 20th, just a few hours later, she would be found dead by a deputy on patrol near Sardis Lake, Mississippi. What transpired between those events and everything that led up to it turned out to be a wildly unsettling story that even an attorney called a tragedy of Shakespearean proportions. Investigations, including that CCTV footage, revealed that after leaving the bar at around 1:30 in the morning, Castile met up with 22-year-old Brandon Thiesfeld, her on and off college lover, and they drove up to an abandoned fishing camp at Sardis Lake. It was there, a location that had been described as dark and desolate, that Brandon would proceed to shoot her 9 times. This happened between 2:15 and 2:30 in the morning.
Why? Why?
Jury report indicated someone reported having heard gunshots in the area during this time of night as they walked their dog. So what caused this seemingly unhinged murder? Well, as prosecutor Ben Creekmore put it, Brandon had to, quote, get rid of a problem. Castile had gotten pregnant with his child, and might I also add that the pregnancy wasn't 100% confirmed, as she had used a home kit test, but even then in the text she just wasn't sure. She wrote him a text saying, like, it's a very faint blue line, but I don't know, I guess I can wait and see if my period comes. All this information, like I said, came out during the investigation with Castile's Apple Watch being at the center, and they had to rely on her Apple Watch because Brandon had disappeared along with her phone, but he didn't realize that the messages were synced up with her watch. It wasn't actually long before investigators found out he might have been the last person to be with her, as he had texted, "Are you going to be home today? Cause I could visit," that Friday before her death. Now, of course, this is a very detailed case with lots of bits and pieces that I'm leaving out, but I think what stands out most is how much love she had for him, and he didn't return any amount of that love back, and how he premeditated the whole thing, even writing a...
The point is saying, like, you're 20 years old. That's not the age where pregnancy needs to be kept a secret. It's not it's not a crime to get pregnant at 20 years old. It's not seen as smart, but it's not a crime. It wouldn't be seen as a problem. It's not like people would have been like, oh, how dare you get a 21-year-old pregnant. Like, you're probably the same age. It's fine. She's 21, you're 22. I'm so confused on why this was a problem.
A letter to his parents, sort of apologizing for it. His digital footprint was also quite damning in this sense, as he had Googled things to do with getting away with crime, tying people up, working a
I always find this hilarious. Why do murderers just type how to get away with murder, how to cover up a body, how to cover up a crime? What the fuck were you thinking when you type these things up? You actually think no one would find you? You think Google's gonna give you the... It always flabbergasts me.
Glock pistol, and rather unbelievably, Ted Bundy. Brandon was arrested on July 22nd, 3 days later. He was attempting to flee to Memphis, Tennessee. In his rather distinguishable truck with "Take It" plates, police found a .40 caliber gun. He got extradited back to Lafayette County, Mississippi, where he was charged with first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole. Rest in peace.
Bet that was really worth getting rid of that problem, wasn't it?
To Allie.
Dumb bastard.
Kyler Effinger. Earlier in January of this year, this video circulated widely on the internet and was a big topic in the news. That was security footage at Salt Lake City International Airport, and it shows the final moments of 30-year-old Kyler Effinger before he would later be discovered unconscious in the engine of an almost departing occupied commercial flight bound for San Francisco. Before I recap what's happening in the clip, let's talk about what happened before. So according to his father, Judd Effinger, Kyler had been held up in security and missed his flight. Now, nothing unusual with that information, but it turns out that he suffered a manic episode, one of many that had been happening to him for over 10 years, and that his father said usually don't end up well for him, so have that in mind. The footage is from 9:52 p.m. on New Year's Day, and the incident happened at a secured part of the terminal with a store manager calling the airport's control center to report a quote disturbance involving a passenger. That report was made while Kyler was running around and struggling with the doors. The other man seen in the footage was alleged to be a custodian at the airport, and Kyler speaks to him in between attempting to open the locked gate A2 door and gate A1 door. Also notice how he just has his socks on, carrying his shoes in his hands, which he actually uses to try to break the window next to the A1 door. By the time the Salt Lake City Police Department was being involved, he had made his way out of the emergency exit and ran down the stairwell. He quickly then made his way onto the tarmac, and images from the thermal imaging camera show him approaching the slowly taxiing Delta Airlines plane. The footage cuts before he gets to the plane, but according to the reports, he ended up reaching the plane, having taken off his clothes along the way, and used a de-icing pad to crawl his way up inside the engine. Officers and airport operation workers who had been searching for him discovered him unconscious and tried to remove him via the removable cover of the engine, the cowling. Although they did, attempts to revive him, including administering naloxone, were unsuccessful and he was pronounced dead. Naloxone, in case you didn't know, is used by medics in order to rapidly reverse an opioid overdose. Additional information from the family said that Kyler could have been triggered by the airport stress, missing his flight, and believing he was being profiled by the TSA. Kyler had also apparently been trying to catch a flight to Denver after learning that his grandfather was in the final stages of life. It is yet to be established through a toxicology report what exactly was his cause of death. His family's take on the situation:
that's more curiosity to me. What caused his actual death? Because he was just found unconscious in an engine that wasn't going. It's not like he took his own life or like he threw himself into it or something like that. So what actually happened here? What actually caused him to die?
Well, this. Apparently, although failing to seek clinical help for his condition was a sign of protest against his bullies, self-medicating with marijuana didn't help him get a good grasp of the episodes, and it ended tragically. Rest in peace to Kyler. Kyle Careford and Michael Owen. It's one thing for a video of a disaster to exist out of chance, like for example CCTV footage, but then it's a completely different situation when the family themselves release the deceased person's video just to warn others. I'm talking about this video from 2015. The two men recording themselves were Kyle Careford and Michael Owen. Owen, 21, a father of one, was the one recording, and Careford, 20, was the unlicensed driver behind the wheel. It turns out that the two were high on a cocktail of drugs, and as you can probably tell from the footage, they were gassing each other up, even to the point where Owen says, "You're doing 90, boys, slow down." Driving Owen's Renault Clio, they had been speeding through the Rotherfield Road in Crowborough countryside, East Sussex, England, in the early hours of...
And so the family listened to it, like, don't be these two. Look, we love these guys to bits, but just don't do this under any circumstances. Please.
April 12th, 2015, before Careford lost control and plowed into a St. Michael's Parish church's wall. They both died instantly besides having their seatbelts on, and actually at the end of the video you can hear someone call out, "Can you hear me?" but there's no response. Releasing the footage, Owen's mother, Kat, said that she hoped it would stop others from making a decision like her son. She added that she blamed both of them for the incident. Careford's family also spoke on the internet, with his brother even saying that he hoped that the footage could connect to even one person and prevent them from causing a great harm to not only themselves but their entire family. And as I stated before, both Careford and Owen were high at the time. Apparently they had taken a bunch of prescribed and illegal drugs that had completely impaired their ability to drive a vehicle. It would thus be no wonder that they were doing 90 on a 30. Now, an interesting yet morbid thing I found about this case is the duality of Owen, because while on one side he behaved erratically and irresponsibly, on the other side his ex-partner, Lauren Humble, said the Michael that we saw in that video was not the Michael that we knew, who was a loving, caring, responsible daddy. His mother also said that he was a brilliant father who everybody loved. Owen left behind daughter Lily Rose, who Lauren Malloy said would have to live with the horrific impact of the situation forever.
Yeah, because that video is going to be like a thing she remembers. She's going to remember the video of her dad in a car, high on drugs, when she figures out what drugs is. I don't know how, this was in 2015, so if she was even 1 year old, she's like 8 now. But when she grows up knowing what drugs is, she's probably going to be taught very early what not to, that do not take them. But she's going to see that video of her dad doing that with a friend, speeding in a car, knowing that's what took her daddy's life. She's going to remember that video.
What's even sadder is that he had been preparing for her 5th birthday, and he had also received
5th? Oh, she's like 12 then. Right? She'd be like 12, 13. She probably is aware of what's happened to her.
News of a job offer. He had been working at a book printing firm, and the offer was for a position at a window screen repair firm where his stepbrother worked. Yep, pretty devastating situation overall. Rest in peace to these two men. Sonu Jaiswal. On January 15th, 2023, Sonu Jaiswal, an Indian citizen, recorded this video while aboard a passenger plane just about to land in Pokhara, Nepal. At the start of the video, he's calm and you can tell he's just documenting his experience as he pans the camera to capture different angles, including himself, the outside, and the inside of the plane. He was actually sharing this footage via a Facebook live stream. However, about 50 seconds into the 1.5 minute video, you can hear screams and the camera shakes violently, indicating that this was the moment disaster struck. That plane, a 15-year-old ATR-72 owned by Yeti Airlines, crashed into a gorge, the Seti Gorge, with half of it hanging on the hillside and the other half falling down into the bank of the Seti Gandaki River. The incident also happened to have been captured by another camera angle. According to news reports, local TV showed huge thick smoke coming up from the crash site.
How does a plane crash into a gorge? Because, you know, like, a gorge is not, like, a very small thing, right? It's not area usually normal planes go, I would assume. I don't know how it got, that seems odd to me.
Indicating a possible fire. This was confirmed to be true as other close-up photos and videos began being shared on social media. It was clear that the impact had caused the plane to go up in flames. The impact was also so brutal that all 72 people on board, 68 passengers, and 4 crew members died. Sonu had apparently traveled to Kathmandu, the capital of Nepal, to visit a temple to pray for a son. What's also a little disturbing, but just coincidental about this case, is that the co-pilot, Anju Kadiwada, had lost her pilot husband, Deepak Pakrel, several years earlier in 2006 after he too crashed while piloting a different Yeti Airlines plane, a DHC-6 Twin Otter 300. His plane had also burst into flames upon impact. So what caused the crash? Well, the official report attributed it to pilot error. It stated that the sudden tilting of the plane was due to the pilot pulling on the wrong lever when preparing to land from an altitude.
How do you... Boy was on the boy pulled the wrong lever. Pulled the wrong lever.
altitude of about 721 feet, instead of changing the wing flap angle. The lever that was pulled changed the propeller angle, causing the plane to lose momentum. There's a whole technical explanation of what exactly happened, but just know that there were two levers next to each other, the condition lever and the flap lever. The pilot pulled the condition lever by mistake. The report also added that it was likely that the pilots were distracted. Also worth mentioning that Nepal has had a particularly bad history when it comes to airplanes, as between 1960 and 2022, a total of 106 planes have crashed, with a death toll of about 590. About half the crashes involved the twin-engine planes, which is like the one Sonu was on. Part of the hazards of flying there have also been attributed to mountainous terrain, unpredictable weather, poor visibility, and an aging fleet of planes. Remember, this specific plane that Sonu was on was 15 years old, and it's still pretty unbelievable that by chance, he captured his last moments on a Facebook livestream. Rest in peace to everyone on board. Hakan Aysal. The story of Hakan Aysal is a great example of a really stupid way to commit a crime. Why? Well, in this last moment video, Aysal is seen sort of luring his heavily pregnant wife, 32-year-old Semra, down to a cliff's edge on the scenic Butterfly Valley in Mulga, Turkey. That spot where they are is actually a popular tourist stop, as it offers a breathtaking view of Kabak Bay, an equally popular destination. In fact, this is the reason that the video exists, because as Aysal led his pregnant wife down, other tourists were in that same location and they were filming randomly, and it was by chance that the daughter of one of the tourists caught the couple on camera. You can see at the end of the video that they disappear out of frame, but it later came to be revealed that although pretending to take a selfie with her, he had ended up pushing her down the 1,000-foot high ledge. Reason? Well, like I said, it was a rather foolish attempt to commit a crime, insurance fraud. This was revealed during the hearing where it came out.
My man's evil. My man's pure fucking evil. You're gonna go commit insurance fraud? Insurance fraud. Fucking piece of shit. Evil bastard.
Out that just days after the incident, he had tried to cash out on their £40,000, approximately $50,000 US, insurance policy, which actually rather strangely had him enlisted as the only beneficiary. The insurance payment was declined when the news of the investigation was unveiled. His version of the events? Well, he said that after taking a selfie, Semra put the phone in her bag, which they left a few steps away from where they later sat. Then she had apparently requested him for the same phone, and as he got up to walk to the bag, he heard her scream, only to find that she was no longer there. The story, however, didn't hold up, as there was a mountain of evidence against him. For example, there's already the video footage that the other tourists took, and those who witnessed it even said that Aysal was acting strangely with the mother of the daughter who took the video. Oddly enough, the woman even joked and said, either this man will throw the woman off or the woman will throw the man, which is really creepy looking back on. And there were also claims that the couple had been on the cliff for about 3 hours, assuming that Aysal was waiting for there to be no witnesses around. That's why there's no footage of him actually doing it. It also emerged, claimed by her brother Yoku, that Semra had taken out 3 loans on behalf of Aysal despite her well-known attitude against taking loans. Lastly, an additional damning piece of evidence was how everyone claimed how he didn't seem moved by his wife's death. For example, Said Erturk, a driver that he flagged down to help after she quote fell, said he did not accompany them to search for the body. He had apparently been quote carefree and calm, not acting anything like.
Yeah, that's fucked up, because if your wife fell, if your pregnant wife fell off a cliff, you would be fucking petrified. You'd be scared shitless.
A man who just lost his wife due to falling off a cliff. Now, Aysal tried claiming insanity to avoid prosecution, but after medics confirmed he was in fact okay, he was sentenced to life in prison in 2022. The court stated that he must serve at least 30 years before he could ever be considered to be released. This is just one of those horrible cases where, oh my god, I absolutely hate this one. But yeah, rest in peace to Semra and her child. Linda Almond. For the second time in this video, we're going to be talking about a Facebook live stream that had a devastating ending. This here is a video from the live stream by 55-year-old Linda Almond, a resident of Waverly, Tennessee.
Well, if anybody's seen me on Facebook Live, we're being flooded right now in Waverly, Tennessee. Really scary. Oh, hell, I wish I had one of those.
They couldn't just hit the side of the house.
I need a light. This is scary. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
In the video, she basically puts it out there that they're being flooded, terming it as, quote, really scary. Her final words before the footage cuts out, as you just have heard, were, "This is really scary. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness." Shortly after, Almond and her son Tommy, both who were on the roof of their house, were swept away by rushing water after the roof collapsed. And while Tommy was rescued by authorities, Almond sadly didn't make it. Now all this happened.
Oh, that is terrifying. That is terrifying. They were on the roof almost, just trying to anything to get saved, not have the thing with the roof collapsed. They both fell in, one got saved and she did not.
In August of 2021, and the mind-blowing thing is that it was caused by a staggering 17 inches of rain that fell in Humphreys County in just under 24 hours. That amount of rain had actually not been recorded in the area ever before. It was reported as having broken the previous record for most rain to have ever fallen in Tennessee within a 24-hour period. The only other time such a thing had been witnessed was the single-day record of 9.45 inches from back in 2010 in Nashville, which is about 60 miles away. And even crazier is that about 9 inches of it fell within just 3 hours. It thus makes sense why, despite the rain having begun on a Saturday, by the time Almond was going live at about 10:15 a.m., the flash flood waters had risen quite significantly to the point that they were carrying debris and throwing it around. In fact, in the video, you can hear a voice, presumably that of Tommy, saying that something just hit the side of their house. Now, as I mentioned, Almond never made it as her body wasn't found in the flood waters. At 2 p.m. on the following day, a Sunday, her family confirmed that indeed she had passed away and that her body had been later recovered by authorities who were certain she died in the water. What's even worse was that her death was not isolated. The rains apparently kept on, and by Tuesday of the following week, a total of 21 people had been declared dead.
Whew. Oh, one was even a child. Oh, 3 children. Oh my God, so many kids that were taken just by Mother Nature.
With 10 others being reported missing. The flood had caused devastation that ran for about 10 miles, with local Sheriff Davis stating that rescue operations were not only overwhelmed, but that the situation was expected to remain the same for about 30 more days. Now, having learned all that, the video feels even more heartbreaking, and what's sad is that such a situation is likely to repeat itself because, as a reply to this comment pointed out, there's a chance such rain is not predicted in time in some areas. But yeah, rest in peace to Linda. Ran the bus driver. In 2018, this video caused a lot of officials in China to be furious as it led to deaths that most thought could be avoided. In the video, you can see the driver, 42-year-old Ran, in a heated exchange with a passenger who was later identified as 48-year-old Liu. Liu can be seen slapping the driver with her cell phone before he hits back, losing control of the bus in the process. This incident happened in the city of Chongqing, China, and the bus unfortunately plunged about 200 feet down into the Yangtze River. Yes, they were doing all that while crossing the iconic but also really high second Guangzhou Yangtze River Bridge. There's actually this camera footage from outside the bus which shows the moment the driver lost control. He veered off into the oncoming lane and crashed into a sedan before rolling off the edge of the bridge down into the river. It was confirmed that at the time of the accident there were about 15 people inside the bus, with none having survived. The bus actually plunged about 215 feet below the surface of the water, meaning it was very difficult for anyone to make it. That's also probably why out of 15 fatalities, only 13 bodies were retrieved and identified, while 2 remained missing. Also worth noting is that the rescue operation was quite huge given the nature of the location and accident. About 50 firefighters, 5 fire engines, and 2 rescue.
What on earth could have happened with this passenger? Why would a passenger even think it's a good idea to get off the goddamn, to start hitting the bus driver while you're on a bridge? Like, what the fuck even? What set this whole fuck thing up? Because it seems just stupid by both people.
Rescue boats were dispatched to the scene, where the only indication of the sunken bus was oil fragments floating atop the waters. And that wasn't enough, because a 60-ton capacity crane had to also be dispatched to pull the wreckage out of the water. So we already know that this horrific accident was caused by a brawl, but what exactly were they fighting about? Well, turns out that the woman, Liu, had missed her stop and wanted to be let off the bus, but Rand didn't want to hear any of that. That's how she ended up hitting him, and he retaliated. And as I said before, when people learned that this was the cause of the accident, they were nothing but infuriated. An avoidable petty fight that ended up claiming tens of lives. These sentiments were apparently mostly expressed on Weibo, a popular social media platform in China, with users, for example, stating, "In a few seconds, a whole bus of life is lost," and "The price of acting on impulse is too grave." The official police statement also blamed the fight on mutual fist-fighting behavior. What I also found surprising about this case is that it seems that bus driver and passenger fights are sort of common in China. A commentary published in a local newspaper, People's Daily for instance, stated, "We have to ask, why do fistfights between passengers and drivers keep happening?" But yeah, rest in peace to everyone.
So bizarre. Like, look, he missed your stop, right? I will say the bus driver should just be like, hold on. Like, I get you're on a bridge. You probably can't. But, like, if there's an area to let off, just get off. Like, here, get off. Go wherever you want. Get off the bus. Did you want off? Here you go. I'm up risking life for your ass.
Everyone that was on board on that bus. Sinking ship. Next up is this chilling video recorded by a 17-year-old Korean student moments before he and hundreds of others.
I knew immediately what this video was. I know immediately what this video is. I'm gonna let this one play because I've seen this so many times.
Died when a ferry that they were on, MV Sual, capsized and sank. Now the entire video is disturbing, but what I found pretty odd but interesting is that some of the students were making jokes as the ferry was leaning on its side, but I'm gonna assume they weren't aware of what was about to happen. In this translated version of the video, as the announcer cautions them to remain in the same location and be prepared for a quote dangerous situation, one student asks, "Is it sinking for real?" And as the announcer keeps going, another student chimes in, "Nonsense." Later, someone suggests that they take a photo as part of their last memories, and jokingly, another one says, "Take a photo like this, like a man against gravity." That was right before yet another student shouts, "This is fun," and another comments, "This is like Titanic," before they start singing the Titanic theme song. That video cuts off as one student tells his mom and dad he loves them as his final words. The video, which circulated widely, was shared with South Korean media by a father to one of the 323 students who had been aboard the ferry. There had been a total of 476 people on board. I should also add that the student, Park Soo-hyun, had apparently shot an entire 15 minutes of video detailing the last few moments on the ferry, and so what I just shared here is a little section of it. The faces of the teenagers are blurred out as Park's father requested this to be done as a way to respect the privacy of the families mourning their loved ones. Anyway, what followed was a disaster that haunts South Korea till this day. The final death toll, for instance, revealed that out of the 476 passengers, 304 died, and among those, 5 bodies were never recovered. In addition, of the 299 bodies that were recovered, 250 were of second-year high school students. Why such a large number of students on board? Well, they had gone for a school trip to the scenic Jeju Island, and sadly, they never even made it to the island as the ferry sank on its way there. This was around 8:05 in the morning.
Oh, I feel like he'll say this, but the part that pisses me off is almost like the people controlling the area, the boat, the ferry, whatever you want to call it. Almost it seems like they wanted them to die. Because I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly, he says, put on life jackets and stay where you are, don't move. And then he got on one of the boats, the like life raftings, and he just left. Like he just left them there.
On April 16, 2014, rescue efforts began immediately after a distress signal was received, with private fishing boards being hailed for helping rescue more passengers than the Coast Guard. Actually, the government ended up taking a lot of the blame due to the perception that the Coast Guard as an agency did not put in enough effort in the rescue mission, especially in mobilizing help in time. And the blame didn't stop there because the captain escaped first, leaving the passengers with the instruction to just stay put.
I knew it! Yeah, that was right. They just stay put on your life jacket, and that's it. And then he just escaped and fucking left them to die.
Control tower was also faulted for not acting swiftly, and the then president, Park Geun-hye, was blamed for not appearing in public for a whole 7 hours after the disaster had already occurred. All these factors compounded were taken to imply failure in leadership after the disaster unfolded. The investigations into the incident were concluded in January of 2017, surprisingly with only the captain getting a prison sentence. Anyway, aftermath aside, why did the ferry sink? Well, reports indicated 3 main reasons. First, some dangerous renovations with regulatory approval had been done on the vessel, raising its center of gravity. Second, on the fateful day, the ferry had drained most of its ballast water, which it needed for balance. And third, it was overloaded with cargo, carrying more than twice the legal limit. Again, lots of blame went to governing authorities, with even claims that they had looked the other way. What's really gut-wrenching, as I've stated before, is how this affected the families. It was extremely difficult for them to move on from this. For example,
I mean, 307 deaths. All could have been avoided. At least a good amount could have been saved. I don't know how the fuck this happens. Unless almost you have to think this guy was hoping this happened. This captain wanted these kids to die. I feel like it had to have been.
I found an article from 2022 stating that 8 years after the disaster, some parents even killed themselves. Others got divorced, and some kept protesting, fueled by grief and anger. Yeah, rest in peace to everyone involved in this sinkage. Burku.
I don't know what tops this, but because that was those heart-wrenching for me.
Saglam. Let's end with this video where a 22-year-old Turkish beautician, Burku Saglam, is seen capturing what would turn out to be her final moments right before a horrific crash. In the video, you can tell she's enjoying the views from the cockpit of a single-engine plane as she pans the camera around to show different sides of the plane. There's also some stitched-in footage of the plane taxiing on the runway a little while before they took off. Now, unfortunately, moments later, at about 3:32 p.m., while she was about 3,937 feet in the air, the plane had lost communication with the control tower. This was about 15 minutes after they had taken off from a small town near Istanbul. Around 78 miles from the takeoff point, workers at a nearby natural gas plant informed authorities of an object plunging from the sky. This object turned out to be the plane that Saglam and Hakan Koksal, an experienced 54-year-old pilot, were traveling in. The fall was actually captured in a video, and it was clear that they hit a 380,000 volt power line on their way down. The plane immediately burst into flames upon that impact. Bodies of the two were found near the crash site by the search and rescue team. As to how they died, the local mayor, Aliner Aktis, without specifically which, said that one of them was believed to have been ejected from the aircraft, falling to their death, while the other one died while the plane caught fire upon impact. An even sadder part of the story is that Saglam's parents were not aware of her flying escapade, as she had only notified them that morning that she was leaving home in search of a job. She had also apparently posted on social media that same day with a caption saying, "Bye." Now, as to what caused the crash, an investigation concluded that it was just bad weather. The plane apparently clipped a pylon, the wing structure that supports the engine, causing it to plummet uncontrollably. The Transportation Safety Investigation Center blamed Koksal for having initiated navigation of the flight without evaluating the weather. This meant that as conditions deteriorated on their return leg, he panicked and, quote, lost situational awareness. So the legal fault was fully a pilot error. The investigation determined that no other parties could be blamed for the crash. But yeah, rest in peace to these two people. Alright guys, that's it for...
Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for this reaction video. Let me know what you think in the comments. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you all for the next one.